These are the Fantasy Facts presented by Gridiron Experts with your hosts, Pat Loftus and Seth Keller.
Welcome back, everybody. So there's a terrible storm going on in the background right now. You'll see the lightning flash.
I was going to say the lightning just flashed behind you, so that's great. Pat's going to be
washed
right away in the middle of the storm.
Yeah.
Stay safe, Pat. Stay safe.
Seth was talking to me, and I'm doing one of these, looking up, and I feel water hit me. So yeah, it's a good night here in Michigan. We're back. Seth and I selfishly took vacation last week, so we're ready to go, ready to talk a lot of fantasy football tonight. We have an action-packed show. Let's jump right in. Make sure you give the show a follow at GX Fantasy Facts. Give Seth a follow at FF the At Home Dad. Give me a follow at Dynasty_Pat. Seth, hit the good people with our promos, with Viridian, and with Underdog.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's our Underdog promo. I'm so proud of our promo.
It was quiet there for a minute. Should we be talking? Should we?
I'm going to put sound on it eventually, but come on, it's pretty good. You just
awesome.
need to sit there and watch it and let it happen, and it's beautiful. So we
What's
have
the code there?
The code is FAQX, FAQX. We have a wonderful promotion going on with our good friends over at Underdog Fantasy. They are one of the best, if not the best, in terms of best ball and pick 'em, and they just have so many fun ways for you to get involved in more fantasy. Even better, you use the promo code FAQS, that's FAQS, and you'll get a free $25 to spend. If you watch the hashtag lunchtime live draft, there was a puppy 3 that we were in. It's their $5 entry. That $25 would be 5 free entries into the puppy 3. There's probably not going to be a ton more opportunities for you to get into those. And that puppy, only $5, has a chance to get $100,000 if you come in first. But there's over $500,000 worth of prizes that are going out with the puppy. And they also have a season long that is phenomenal as well. So use the promo code FAQS, that's FAQS, to get that free $25. I don't have my Viridian Global shirt on tonight. I had some meetings I had to be in, and unfortunately work is literally gone. Work is gone. Well, I still have my gym shorts on because I'm on Zoom. But
yeah, of course.
What? Have you worked from home yet in 2 years?
I changed out of my pajamas to go to the dentist today at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. It's good living right there.
That's how I'm working from home.
Yeah. So if you haven't tried Viridian Global, give them a try. Use the promo code. Guess what? It's easy to remember. It's FAQS.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
They are the dual threat quarterback of the fantasy clothing industry because they provide just phenomenally comfortable clothes and clothes that look just really, really sharp and good looking. If you have not checked out their Scott Fishbowl shirts, they are amazing. I have my Rage Against the Machine Scott Fishbowl shirt, and I'm not even in the Rage Against the Machine division. The shirt is just that crisp, so I had to get it. It'll save you 10% at checkout. So make sure you go ahead and check out Viridian Global. Check out all the great stuff they have there.
Sorry about that. I had a bunch of cavities filled, and the Novocaine is starting to wear off, and I'm
now biting your tongue.
Yeah, no, I've bitten my tongue, my cheek, my lip. I've bitten everything, and it's like food. I'm like, what is that? I'm spitting food out because I ate dinner right after. I got like food stuck, and I couldn't feel it because my mouth was so numb.
You're a mess, Pat. You're a mess.
I am a mess.
Clean it up, sir. We upgraded to being on camera now.
Live, and this is what happens.
Yeah, and this is what happens.
I wasn't expecting.
We have you spitting out food all over yourself.
God, my fucking house is leaking. I'm spitting out food. This is fantastic.
What a
What a
mess.
night. What a night. All right, let's get into it. Let's go to the opening question.
It's time to pop one open with the opening question.
All right, tonight's opening question comes from James Reed at JDRERE26 in a half-point PPR redraft league. Who do you want for your wide receiver 2? Deontay Johnson, Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore, or Adam Thielen?
I think Deontay Johnson's my answer for that one. That Pittsburgh team they're not going to throw as much as they did last year, I feel like, but I think they're going to throw a little bit more. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change that because I didn't hear DJ Moore. DJ Moore's my answer for that one. Deontay Johnson is a close second. And then I think it's Kupp Thielen. I think that's how I rank them in that order. DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, Kupp, and Thielen. I think Moore gives you the most upside. He's played with bad quarterback play plenty. So even if Sam Darnold doesn't come back and, he doesn't take that rebound, that post Adam Gase rebound that everybody wants him to take, if he doesn't do that, guess what? DJ Moore has played with just as bad a level of quarterback and been fine.
Productive.
Yeah.
Been productive.
So I'm going to go with DJ Moore as my top option there, and Deontay Johnson coming in just behind him.
See, this one's tough because depending on your draft strategy, one of these guys could be your wide receiver 1 on your team. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to get real crazy. So I agree with you there, Seth. I think it's DJ Moore. If he's your wide receiver 2, you probably have a pretty good team. I think you can make a case for all 4 of these guys. And I really wanted to say Deontay Johnson as well, but too many question marks with the other wide receivers in Pittsburgh. Cooper Kupp has some potential, but he's got a new quarterback in Matthew Stafford. Adam Thielen has Justin Jefferson. And for me, I'm leaning heavily between DJ Moore and Adam Thielen because Thielen has the least amount of competition because he only has Justin Jefferson, whereas Deontay Johnson has Chase Claypool and Juju. Cooper Kupp has Robert Woods and some sort of combination of Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell, Tyler Higbee. Carolina has DJ Moore. They have Robbie Anderson. They have Terrace Marshall. So there's a lot of weapons for the quarterback to throw to. So for me, it's DJ Moore, probably then Adam Thielen, then Cooper Kupp, then Deontay Johnson. So, but we are in agreement. It's DJ Moore, probably the best option for a half-point PPR redraft league. To the news desk?
To the news desk.
To the news desk.
Fresh Fantasy Facts News Desk.
All right, lot to cover tonight. Tried to break it down by position. We'll start with tight ends. We're going to start out in Vegas because this is a guy, Seth, we've talked about on our show and on other shows for I feel like the last 2 or 3 weeks, and it's Darren Waller. He is finally back. He missed 2 weeks, 8 straight practices or preseason, whatever you want to call this right now, with an ankle injury. We finally know it was an ankle. But they also came out and said, when I say they, I mean the Raiders, came out and said that it wasn't serious enough where he would have missed a regular season game, but it was serious enough that it kept him out of all the practices and conditioning and everything now. So I understand why they're being cautious, but at the same time, I don't know why it took 2 weeks, over 2 weeks for this to come out. I don't know why this wasn't a thing like day one. Like, hey, yeah, Waller, he's dealing with an ankle. We're going to sit him down. We're going to get him right because he's an integral part of this offense. I don't know why they couldn't come out and say that right away. And if they did, maybe I missed it. But, I'm not following the Vegas Raiders all day, every day. I got my own football team here in Detroit to worry about.
You got your own crappy team to pay attention to.
No shit.
I mean, a part of me is like, all right, fine. They didn't have to disclose stuff during the preseason, whatever, right? But then a part of me is kind of questioning, like, well, why didn't they at least say something, right?
Yes, exactly.
Because then it led to just all this speculation, like you were saying. It's good to hear that he was still working out. He was still kind of, at the team facilities. But it did just lead to a whole bunch of speculation, and it was kind of like, why have us go through that? Why? I don't think this affects where I'm taking Darren Waller at any place.
He's tight end 2.
Tight end 2, very easily. Yeah. All right, next up.
So if you watched the Saints and the Jaguars game, and we're gonna cover that, I feel like, quite a bit in the news. Scary incident with Adam Troutman. He was carted off from the game last night with a lower leg injury. We find out today from New Orleans Football's Nick Underhill, Adam Troutman's leg has avoided a serious injury. They're taking him to see a specialist, but it sounds like good news, or better news than what we saw last night.
Which is a really weird way to kind of say that. So this is kind of like the Darren Waller thing. Well, what the hell does that mean? Right? Like, Darren Waller isn't practicing, but he's working out. Okay, well, what the hell does that mean? Why is that happening? And so same thing with Adam Troutman. Okay, he was carted off the field, looked really bad, but what does that mean when somebody else comes in and goes, well, it doesn't look that bad? Well, it doesn't look that bad in that it wasn't the trifecta ACL, MCL, PCL, meniscus. Like, it wasn't 3 of those, or it's not that bad because it's only 2. Or it's not that bad because it's just a blown out ACL. Or is it not that bad? He just has a mild sprain and he's fine. And so that's where I'm questioning what does he may be okay or it's not that bad actually mean? Like,
yeah, and unfortunately we won't know until the regular season when teams are forced to disclose injury information and status updates and shit like that. So Truman was a guy, like, as we get later on into the show, we start talking about our superlatives. I think Adam Troutman's a guy we both would have put somewhere on the list for tight ends because he was a guy that a lot of people were hyping up.
Yeah.
So
he definitely was.
All right, let's move over. There wasn't much, at least from what I saw, in terms of news for wide receiver. So we got a bit of good news here. Elijah Moore has resumed practicing from his quad injury. He is expected to suit up for the preseason game this Friday against the Eagles, which, barring any setback, puts him in position to be on the field for week 1. Good news here for a guy that everybody was taking early in rookie drafts. So, fingers crossed, he's fully healthy by the time the season rolls around and he starts clicking with Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, anytime a wide receiver misses time early on, it usually is, if it's extensive time, it's a really bad sign.
Well, especially for a rookie. Especially a rookie.
And that's what I meant, right? Especially rookies that miss extensive time in their opening season. It's really difficult for them to recover from that and ever really kind of get the gears going, right? And so to hear Elijah Moore is back, he's practicing, he should be good to go week 1. It sucks that he misses a little bit of work, but he's still in kind of the, he's in the facilities. He's hopefully working with Zach Wilson, at least in some shape or form. Like, you expect that without him, it's not like he has COVID and has to quarantine or something like that. So you're expecting him to be able to, still work with Zach Wilson, if not get the timing down, if not get some of that muscle memory and that cooperative work down. It's still giving him an opportunity. And so the fact that he's practicing now and should be good to go week 1 is really exciting for me, because he's a guy that I like. Corey Davis, but I think Elijah Moore can slide right into that wide receiver 2 spot in New York and be successful. So I'm excited for Elijah Moore. I'm excited for him to be back. I'm excited to see what he can do in week 1. Hopefully he stays healthy.
Yes. More good news. Let's move on to quarterback. More good news from the Athletics. Bob Kravitz, barring a setback, Carson Wentz will start week 1 against the Seahawks. That's huge because it wasn't that long ago we were talking about him missing anywhere from 5 to 12 weeks. So to see him potentially ready to go week 1, that puts him right at the 5-week timeline. So that's huge for Indy. That's huge for all their position players, all their skill players. And hopefully, I didn't see an update on Quentin Nelson, but I'm hoping it's the same. Hopefully they're getting both back in time for week 1 because that offense is going to be good with Wentz, but they're going to be really good with Quentin Nelson because he's going to, again, make Wentz better, make Jonathan Taylor better, give Wentz time to throw the ball down the field or at least get the ball out of his hands. So good news there in Indy, Wentz coming back. And also, I saw this earlier today, it's the 2-year anniversary of Andrew Luck retiring out of nowhere.
Wow, really?
I saw that. It feels like it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's 2 years ago to the day.
That was only 2 years. No, that can't be right.
I believe it was.
Wow, that is astonishing to me if it was really only 2 years ago.
I'm going to pull up the old Twitter machine here.
Yeah, but I did
2 years ago.
Wow, that is amazing.
On this day 2 years ago.
Well, that's good that we have good news coming out of Indy. At a time when everybody was like, "Wait, what the hell just happened?"
Yeah. There was a lot of panic mode in Indy for a couple weeks.
Yeah. So Wentz coming back, gives them the best chance to win.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Jacob Eason, it's not Sam Ellinger.
No.
No offense to those guys, but they don't get.
They'd probably be serviceable.
The best chance.
No, yeah. They'd be serviceable. I mean, everybody would take it. I said serviceable, not good. Serviceable is a notch or 2 below good. Mm-hmm. So serviceable, game manager. Get the ball to Jonathan Taylor. Get the ball to insert Colts wide receiver that you like here because they're all kind of meh, in my opinion.
Wow. Okay.
That's not like a bold take. Like I don't.
I feel like the Colts receiver core is one of those receiving cores where everybody has a guy that they're like, this is my good.
Well, that's why.
You want to see something cool? Check out my Colts receiver. He's mine. Nobody else knows about him.
That's why I said insert your favorite Colts receiver here.
Yeah. All right.
Because everybody, like you said, everybody has their favorite guy.
Yep.
All right.
And there may be one coming up later on in the show.
Maybe I'll leave that up to you.
And not from Pat.
No, not from me.
Yeah. But it sounds really great that Wentz is going to be able to start. Like we said, it gives them the best chance to win. And I want to say that I read also that Quentin Nelson is on the same timeline that Wentz is on, where he might be good to go week 1 also. So it's really good to hear.
You talked about it a bit last night on our good friends was Dynasty Wonderland podcast. Mm-hmm. Check that one out as well. We dropped a lot of tweets on that one earlier today when it came out, but I didn't see that, so I'm going to take you for your word that Nelson is on the same timeline, and that's going to really improve the Colts' offense this year. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have a bunch of running back news to hit, and I don't know. Do you want to start at the top?
Yeah.
All right. This one, I don't know why this one hit me so hard because I think you and I have talked about him quite a bit, and we're not the only ones, but the Falcons cut Javian Hawkins earlier today. So there's that.
There is that.
I guess fire up all the Mike Davis and Kadri Olison and Cordarrelle. You want me to say Cordarrelle Patterson?
Say it. Finish saying it, Pat.
Yeah. Is he the Eric Ebron of this year?
No, he's honestly he's the guy that I'll have to check it on Underdog. Underdog does this great thing where you get exposure. He's a guy that I've just been taking in the 18th round because he's listed as a wide receiver, but he's actually a running back.
Yeah.
And Javian Hawkins getting cut means that, like, where we thought that they were an RB needy team, they might not be that needy, right? They might not feel that they're
It's
that
that.
needy,
It's that.
or
It's they don't feel that they're needy.
or Javian Hawkins just really wasn't getting it done for him, which is really kind of amazing because a lot of people had Javian Hawkins being drafted. I don't want to say high, but like high for a running back. I've seen people, and I would just had a conversation about pre-draft rankings on Twitter earlier today, and I want to say one of the guys I was talking with had Javian Hawkins in his third tier, like with guys like Trey Sermon, and so the fact that he was that high, he was that high on a lot of people's pre-draft rankings. Javian Hawkins he was a guy that people were excited for, and then he fell off of draft boards, fell off of NFL draft boards, right? And it's it's reflecting back on the process. Why were so many people high on Javian Hawkins,
landing
but
spot?
the NFL wasn't? No, this was pre-draft, even before the Falcons drafted him. So based on film analytics, something like his profile, people were higher on him than the NFL was, and right now higher than the Falcons were because he didn't make it even to the final. He didn't even make it to the final round of cuts.
Yeah.
This is the second or third round of cuts here. I think there's still like it.
They got to go from 80 to 53 after this week.
Yeah,
I believe.
So I think they went. Yeah, I think they dropped it
90 something to 80 something.
Right. Yeah. So
yeah,
I think there's another one in there too, isn't there? It's like 96 to 90. 93 to like 90 to 86.
I feel like it's weird and it changes. It's weird numbers and it changes every year.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it doesn't, but at the end of the day, you got to get down to 53 before the season starts. That's the important number. Javian Hawkins isn't going to be there with the Falcons, and if he couldn't make it happen with Atlanta, who was running back needy, I don't see it playing out for him.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Practice squad. He's a practice squad guy.
He's a guy that, if he lands with San Francisco, even on the practice squad, somebody's going to be like, "Oh, okay, all right,
you're going to be that. You're going to be that fucking guy."
I would be because I was that guy that was like, Joe Michael Hasty, man, I really liked your film, but you're like the seventh running back on the 49ers. I can't help myself. Come on board. Come on down.
All right, enough of that.
Yeah.
Let's move to my hometown. Let's come over to Detroit. And this one came as a bit of a surprise because, we knew here in Detroit and, Swift owners, we knew he was dealing with a groin and his status was questionable. He was at practice, conditioning, doing little bits here and there. Well, now today, Dan Campbell comes out and says that he's concerned about DeAndre Swift's availability for week 1 against the 49ers. What the fuck just happened? I live south of Detroit, and this is new. Like, I'm a Lions fan. This is all news to me. Like, what? It's August 24th. What the fuck happened?
Yeah. No, I feel your level of confusion because, I think it's right. I think most people read that and are like, wait, what? You kind of do the that double take, looking at your phone, like, is this really happening? And man, I don't think I have any exposure to like Swift, Dobbins, who else is in that like middle group right there? I think I have one maybe share of like David Montgomery, Chris Carson's kind of in that
Miles Sanders
mix there. I do have some Miles Sanders, but we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the superlatives.
Fair.
But like I didn't really have any shares of them, but this is still like wait. What?
He was a guy like you start going back and looking at his numbers from last year. They were some advanced metrics were really good, like top 2, top 3 type numbers, in whatever stat you were looking at him in. And he was going to be a focal point of this Lions offense. And now we're looking at a groin injury that sidelined him for at least the last 5 to 7 days. May have been dealing with it even longer. And now we're looking at him not playing in almost 2 weeks. Like, that's holy shit! Like it blows my mind that it's this bad and we're just now hearing about it, or it could be this bad and we're just now hearing about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All right.
And that's not cool. Not cool, man.
No. All right, let's go out to L.A. Talk to the Rams. So this actually happened yesterday. Darrell Henderson injured his thumb. Brief scare because they already lost Cam Akers. But today, Tuesday, Henderson took part in 11-on-11 drills, but he was wearing a non-contact jersey. Take from that what you will. I think the sprained thumb won't be an issue for him. I think he's going to be fine. He's got 2 weeks. Even if he didn't hurt his thumb, I don't think he's playing in a week. He's not playing in the next preseason game anyway, so who fucking cares? He'll be fine.
Yeah, he should be able to overcome this relatively easily. It should be a non-factor.
Yesterday, probably a much bigger conversation. If he didn't practice today, we're having a different conversation. But he was out there. He should be fine. Yeah. But what do I know? I'm not a doctor. All right, so this one, this guy I'd kind of forgotten about. I'd honestly forgotten about Lynn Bowden. But the Dolphins placed Lynn Bowden on IR with a hamstring injury, ending his season. And I found this interesting because Bowden has the dual threat, wide receiver, running back. Miami's kind of thin at running back behind Myles Gaskin. So a guy like Bowden who could have carved out a halfway decent role as a third down guy, pass catcher, special teams guy, but not going to happen because hamstring injury lands him on the season-ending IR.
Yeah, and I feel like he was shifting to the outs anyways. Like you said, he's kind of a Swiss Army knife guy where he may have been able to work something in.
Had the potential to be because he didn't show much last year.
I mean, he had a couple games there where he had some catches and looked okay. But like you said, he had the potential. But yeah, that's gonna be the word of the day.
That's gonna be the title of this show. Serviceable.
Yeah, serviceable. We should have thought of that as a superlative. Who's the most serviceable guy?
J.D. McKissick.
Yeah. No, you hush your face. But anyways, with Lynn Bowden, I think he was kind of on the outskirts anyways.
Yeah.
Looking in, this just kind of this ends it for this season and may end his time in Miami.
It probably will.
If he's lucky, hopefully he's able to, pick up somewhere with another team, get that opportunity to show that Swiss Army knife capability, get on the field somewhere else. Because it would be terrible for, his career to kind of be over before he ever really got it started. Even with, the trade before even touching the field from Las Vegas to Miami, Miami being in such a weird place last year and now a season-ending injury, you feel for the guy, but
yes,
don't draft Lynn Bowden in your seasonal
leagues. No, don't. All right, back to the Jacksonville New Orleans game that happened last night. This is a big blow. The Jaguars placed Travis Etienne on injured reserve with a Liz Frank injury, ending his season. Yikes.
That sucks.
And there was a lot of speculation last night when the game ended because he left in a walking boot and everybody freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
For good reason.
And now deservedly so.
Right.
Because Liz Frank is no joke. I tweeted it out this morning that it's 6 to 8 weeks in a cast before you even start doing the rehab, before you start the strength and training. It takes that amount of time. And I was talking with some of my PT friends, and shout out to Individual Physical Therapy in New Jersey that my buddy owns. He was saying, it's gonna take him at least a year to get back to his functional strength.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it makes sense for him to go on IR. He's kind of redshirting this season, which, again, it sucks for this young man's career. it sucks for drafts. It sucks for people that already, picked him up. I think, the one thing it does, though, is it puts James Robinson, back on the map. And I'm going to throw this one out there. I said it a long time ago, and this is now the opportunity for it to be an actual thing. Carlos Hyde.
I put a waiver claim in for Carlos Hyde earlier today.
Yeah, Carlos Hyde might be a thing.
It's probably not going to be a very good thing.
Yeah.
I don't have.
He might be serviceable.
Serviceable. I talked about this last night. Jacksonville did not look good in that game last night. Now, granted, they lost ETN. They didn't have Chark. Marvin Jones got dinged up. They just looked rough. But there's a reason Jacksonville picked first overall. There's a reason they had so many high picks in the draft. They're not good, right? They're not good. I want James Robinson to be a thing. I really do. I have no exposure to James Robinson. I want him to be good. It's a great story.
Mm-hmm.
I want Trevor Lawrence to be good because I have shares of Trevor Lawrence across some leagues. I want guys like Marvin Jones and Chark and LaVisca to be good because I have shares of them across leagues. I just don't see Jacksonville being very good this year. Yeah. And I think a lot of it now this was their second preseason game. I think Urban Meyer was a bad hire.
I mean, everybody's due their opportunity, but I feel like Urban Meyer's like that guy where it's like everybody's kind of like, really? That's the choice we're making here.
I don't know.
I guess we'll buckle up the roller coasters and let this ride roll out. But
I'm having a hard time finding positives for the Jaguars and their offense. Now, losing ETN sucks a lot. But I guess the only positive thing I can take away is Darrell Bevel looks pretty good as the OC in Jacksonville. That might have been he might be an interim head coach again sooner rather than later. So yeah, that's my take on Jacksonville. I'm not impressed by Urban Meyer and what I'm seeing with the collection of talent they have on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and one last little snippet I'll just toss out there. Carlos Hyde he's had 3 seasons of over 900 yards rushing.
Okay.
He's had 1 season over 1,000 yards rushing.
Okay.
He had a 59 reception season.
Ooh.
Like he is shown throughout his career, and he's shown throughout his career that he can do different things. Now it's been a long career. He came in 2014. So he's already at that shelf life for running backs.
He came in. He's only been in the league 7 years.
Yeah.
You could have told me 2004, and I would have believed it.
I mean, it's 8 years. He's going into his 9th season. 2014 was his first year.
I feel like he's been in the league I feel like he's right up there with Frank Gore. That's a bit extreme.
Nobody's right up there with Frank Gore.
That's a bit extreme.
Frank Gore and Tom Brady, that's it. Like
you said 2014. I was like, no, it's not. It's like 2008.
Yeah, no,
Carlos Hyde's been around. I believe you.
At it right now.
I believe you, but he's one of those guys. I feel like he's been around forever. All right, that does it. Final words. Go.
Saying,
Carlos Hyde, serviceable.
Thrown out there.
That does it for news and notes for this week. So Seth has I can't call it a game, but it's the meat of our show here, and we're calling it superlatives.
Yeah, I mean it's like
what are we calling this? This is your baby.
I mean, it's better than us trying to go like we're like, is it like, do we do like studs and duds? Everybody does that. Do we do keep trade cut? Everybody
Marry,
does
fuck,
that.
Kill.
Do we do marry, fuck, kill? And then I was like, I'm just gonna put it in the show sheet as stud, fuck, and kill or something. Like stud, fuck, bust. I don't know. Like
you have stud, trade, and fuck.
Yeah, there we go. So there's something along those lines. And I was like, all right, I got it. We'll come up with some superlatives here. We'll treat it like high school, and kind of go with like the most likely to do this, right? And so the idea is, as we're looking at the players, giving you, the listener, some insight into who we think are guys that we really like, who are guys that we're kind of shying away from, who are guys. My favorite category is Brokeback Mountain.
No,
Pat was like, "What's
by
that
the way.
mean?" And I was like, "I can't quit you." Like, come on, Pat.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Yeah, whatever. Isn't it both? I feel like that
I think
line
it's
is
both,
in there like 10 times, but whatever. Let's see what else we got. Irrational hate, my personal favorite one. It's like that guy where you're just like, I don't know. I know there's positives there, but I can't.
Right.
I can't bring myself around to draft this person. It may be at ADP, it may just be in general, but like, who do you kind of have that like irrational hate on? And we're gonna try and we won't hit all the superlatives right now, but we'll kind of go through and we'll talk about them. And we'll see how many we can get in. We'll kind of jump all over the board here. We have them for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. So we'll try and hit as many of them as we can. When we hit the 60-minute mark, Pat, we're gonna time it out, and we're gonna say that's it. Pat is over there.
I'm dying.
Are you okay, Pat?
No, I'm not.
You got the black lung pop.
For many reasons, I'm not okay.
Well, just for that, you get to go first because I don't know how much longer you're going to be living here for.
Right?
So,
all right, I'm going to start. I'm going to start at quarterback, and I'm going to start at irrational hate because I honestly had the most fun filling out this category, this superlative, and I cheated. I didn't pick one guy. I picked a team, right? I went with the Denver Broncos.
Son of a bitch. I cheated, and then I deleted it, and I put one person, and you just left it in. God damn you, Pat.
For which one?
You cheater.
For this one? For irrational hate?
Not for that one. I actually left my irrational hate for quarterback blank because I feel like there's not a guy that I just irrationally hate. I feel it's all justifiable.
No, like, mine's irrational because it really has nothing to do with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. I think both of them will be fine in Denver. It's the fact the fucking front office passed on Justin Fields. Serviceable, yes. I didn't want to say it again.
I feel like it's good, fine, serviceable.
Yeah, I said they're two notches. It's two notches below good.
And then it's like White Castle service.
Ooh.
So like Denver's like White Castle service.
And this has nothing to do with, like I said, with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. It's more that Denver didn't draft Justin Fields. Nothing against like Lock and Bridgewater. I'm sure they're great guys. Teddy B is a great story. Drew Lock, it's a good competition out there. I really don't care who wins it because I have 0 shares. But I can't see myself ever acquiring any shares of anyone there just because neither of them are probably going to be there after this year.
Yeah.
So I want no part of anyone in Denver, even though they have a ton of weapons. They've invested a shitload in wide receiver, tight end, running back. I mean, I get it. We've had this conversation across our show, other shows, multiple times. I know why they drafted a cornerback where they did because their defense is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
But you can't say Lock and Bridgewater is the quarterback competition. It just isn't, and that's why my hate for the Denver quarterbacks is irrational.
Yeah.
So
it's like two turds fighting for a peanut. Like
Jesus, man.
It's just like does it matter who wins? Not really.
Yeah, I think so. I think it matters more if Teddy Bridgewater wins because in my head I have no data, nothing to back this up. In my head, Teddy Bridgewater is a better quarterback than Drew Lock. And I think that's why it matters to me because I think Teddy Bridgewater is better. I think he's more accurate. I think he throws a better ball. I think he throws a better deep ball. I think he is, because of what he's been through, I feel like he's going to be the type of person to lead that team in and out of the locker room. I just don't see it with Drew Lock.
Yeah.
Drew Lock has a cannon for an arm, but he's kind of empty up here, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely made some like boneheaded plays out there, but I think the bigger concern is what is the winner of this competition going to do for Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy?
Well, and no offense, that's why I feel like
Yeah.
Bridgewater is the better option for Denver in real football.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place. I can't sit still.
Because your irrational hate is boiling up as you're talking about.
I'm bouncing off the fucking wall right now. No, all right, let's enough. You go. Your turn.
All right. Well, you pick my category.
Ooh, early
This is the way it was
bust.
supposed to be gone.
Oh,
done,
sorry.
You know,
Early bust.
what position?
Oh, I'll let you pick. You can do that.
All right. So my early bust that I think is probably gonna. I have two that actually I think all four of my early busts are gonna piss people off.
I tried really hard. Like your early bust for running back, I completely agree with.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it for tight end because I have too many shares of him and I want him to do well.
Yeah. So we'll
so
go
selfishly,
to tight end. We'll go to tight end then. My early bust candidate for tight end is Kyle Pitts. And this is not a I think Kyle Pitts is going to be bad. Blah, 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 blah. No, I don't think Kyle Pitts is going to be bad. I think Kyle Pitts is going to be fine. I want Kyle Pitts to be good. I think it's going to be good for the NFL, Kyle Pitts being good. I think it's going to be good for Atlanta, Kyle Pitts being good. I don't think that drafting a tight end in the fourth round, a rookie tight end, and yes, I get he's a wide receiver. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But he still needs to be put in situations to win. And that's where I am skeptical that Atlanta is going to put Kyle Pitts in enough situations to win that he's going to be able to return value on that fourth round ADP. And so, again, this is not a bash Kyle Pitts type of moment. This is I just don't have the faith in the team around him. And the historical precedent, I'm going to throw it out there. I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it. The historical precedent around rookie tight ends is it's betting on the lottery and then getting upset if you don't win, right?
So,
and that's what I feel like you're doing with Kyle Pitts.
I would take two things. It's more expectation versus reality, right? Because the expectation for Kyle Pitts is like tight end 2 numbers. The reality is the best season ever in the history of tight ends is it's good, it's not great. Your argument here is more in seasonal leagues with Kyle Pitts being drafted that high. Because in Dynasty, okay. All right.
Well, the whole superlatives are redraft. Did I not make that point clear, Pat? Because
you did not.
Okay, well, that now you know.
It doesn't change too many. I don't think it changes any of mine. But for seasonal purposes, yes, I get. Now it makes more sense why you put Kyle Pitts there. Yes, I want no part of.
No, in Dynasty, perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It still makes me a little bit like, man, I don't want to use a first round pick on a guy that isn't going to, I don't feel is going to return value in year one. That's always my thing with my first round picks is if I'm using a first round pick on a guy in Dynasty, I expect them to be able to return some form of value in year one. Right.
Fair.
Or project them over a lifetime. And that's where I think like we get into the Kyle Pitts thing is like, all right, well, if we project what he could be over his lifetime, that's where his value really comes in Dynasty, right?
Right.
But I think it's man, that's a tough pill to swallow though. The fact that man, it's going to be tough for him to be able to live up to
expectations
where people are drafting him, the expectation that's being put on him based on where they're drafting him. And that's such a big thing for me is unrealistic expectations.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Very fair. All right.
So yours now is you get to go to Brokeback Mountain. Wow, I have to hear your explanation for your running back.
Oh, Chris Carson. He has done nothing but produce, right? And I will Google some Chris Carson stats here, but he's healthy.
Okay.
Pete Carroll has come out and said they want to run the ball more. Rashad Penny can't get healthy, can't stay healthy. There's no other competition really behind him. What do you tell me? DJ Dallas and Travis Homer? Like, I don't see it. So Chris Carson, 2018, 1,100 yards. 2019, 1,200 yards. This is just rushing. Caught 20 balls in 2018, 37 in 2019. He caught 37 last year in 2020. Had 680 yards and 5 scores before missing time with the injury. So he's comfortable in early down work, running between the tackles. He's comfortable on third down catching the ball because they have targeted him a decent amount over the year. I mean, trending, almost to 50 targets up until 20. Nope, I'm reading this backwards. Sorry. 45 targets, 46 targets last year, 47 the year before that. So they're trusting him more in the passing game. He's a guy that you can get relatively cheap, either drafting him or trading for him. And he's a guy that I think is at the end of the year probably won't give you running back one numbers, but I think he has the chance to be a top 15 running back. I think that's where we're going to see Chris Carson when it's all said and done, because he's on a good offense and they trust him and there's no competition behind him.
So my only pushback with Chris Carson, and not only, but I think the biggest pushback, right, is Chris Carson has yet to top 200 fantasy points, right? His typical year is in that 150, 180, 190, right?
Okay.
Last year, that would have been fine. He would have finished in that top 15 type of zone, except for the fact that that's not this past year was a down year for running backs, partly because there was no CMC, there was no Saquon Barkley. Zeke still finished in the top 10. But it
felt like a down year.
Yeah, it was a down year for him, and it was a down year overall in running back scoring.
By the way, I'm close to acquiring my first share of Ezekiel Elliott.
Yes, good for you, Pat. Good for you. In a more typical year, cracking 200 points puts you at like the running back 18. Somewhere around the running back 18, 15. So Chris Carson is more like that fringe, like mid RB2 range, and you're drafting him pretty much there. Like, I don't see much of the upside there. I get the lack of competition. I get that, hopefully Seattle finally starts kind of opening things up a little bit more. I think that'll help out Chris Carson. But I can't bring myself to being excited for him. Like, I am not getting in any type of way excited for Chris Carson. I'm just not. It's not happening.
Fair. Okay.
And you're saying you can't quit him. That's weird. It's weird.
I'm trying to acquire him anywhere and everywhere that I can. And if people will come to me asking about him, where I'm rostering him, I'm not trading him. Well, okay, hold on. I got to pump the brakes there. It has to be I have to win the trade by a lot to give up Chris Carson. I have high expectations for him this year. He's another guy. I'm planting my flag on Chris Carson, with Chris Carson.
Wow. Okay. I think we need to mark the time on that one. All right. Go ahead, Pat.
All right, let's go to your lock at wide receiver.
So my lock at wide receiver, I don't think should be that much of a
I guess
stretch.
how are we defining lock? Like what, he's going to be
he's
a positional one. Like what's
like where you're easily a positional one where you're drafting
like top
him,
5 at his position.
Like I think
Okay.
he would be. So
Okay. No, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah,
I'm just curious what your definition of lock was for that. It doesn't change my answer. I'm just curious what your definition of lock was.
I mean, I think part of it is it's a lock of being good, right? Like he's going to be a really good player, and he's going to return value at ADP. And there's not really much like outside of freak injury. There's not much that's going to change my opinion about this person, right? And so for me, it is very easily Allen Robinson. I think this year he is going to continue to just dominate. And right now, you're able to get Allen Robinson as the 38th pick, for the 40th guy going off the board, which doesn't really make sense, but it does when you look at like the ADP.
So that's early third.
Yeah, wide receiver
early third.
Wide receiver 13.
What?
According to fantasy data, his ADP is wide receiver 13. Like that to me, and actually, hold on a second. Pause that for a second. Realize I just need to switch over to PPR. Doesn't change it much. He's wide receiver 12. So in standard, he's wide receiver 13. In PPR, he's wide receiver 12. Okay.
Give me the 3 above him. The 3 wide receivers ahead of him.
CeeDee Lamb.
No. Give me
Terry
Robinson.
McLaurin.
Robinson.
And Keenan Allen.
Ooh.
Keenan Allen gets close, but I still think it's Allen Robinson.
Okay. Now we get into what's going to be my season-long rant. Who is throwing him the ball in Chicago? Because if it's Justin Fields,
does it matter? Who was throwing him the ball last year? Exactly. Mitch Trubisky.
Trubisky looked good. Trubisky looked good.
Yeah, he looked great in a preseason game. Come on, get out of here with that mess.
Right now, if you're asking me to look at week 1, am I stacking Keenan Allen and Herbert, or am I stacking Andy Dalton and Allen Robinson? I'm stacking Herbert and Allen. I want no part of Andy Dalton and Allen Robinson.
I'll give you that,
okay.
But I'll also counter with Andy Dalton. Why does everybody love CeeDee Lamb? Because Andy Dalton got him the ball.
Fair.
This is one of those conflicting narratives.
Fair.
You can hate Andy Dalton and say Andy Dalton's ass. Fine. He could be ass, but he's also was able to get the ball to CeeDee Lamb. Can he get the ball to Allen Robinson? Absolutely he can. Right? So Andy Dalton could be complete ass. And Andy Dalton, if you're listening, no
sorry.
No offense to you, right? Whoever is the quarterback there, it won't matter. He's been able to show that it doesn't matter. And the other thing that really solidifies it for me is he was third highest in targets last year, and I don't see a reason why that changes. He had 151 targets last year, behind Stefon Diggs with 166. I've talked a little bit in the past about how I think that number could go down. DeAndre Hopkins at 160. I don't see necessarily where that one really changes. So 151 targets. He sits at that upper echelon in targets. Who's taking targets from him? Cole Kmet?
My boy Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney's going to take how many targets? Even if he gets 100 targets, that's still only 260 targets on a team that's not going to be very good and is going to have to pass the ball 500 to 600 times. Going to have to pass the ball an exceeding number of times in order to be successful. So Allen Robinson, a lock to be a top guy.
That's a fair point. All right, we are coming up on our 60-minute mark. Let's do one more each, And what we'll do is we'll post the rest of them on our Twitter handle at
like it.
GX Fantasy Facts. We'll take out the guys that we talked about, so people have to listen to the show to see who we talked about.
Oh, look at you, you little marketing genius.
I have my moments.
Yeah.
All
right. So I'm gonna send. I want to hear one of your late season targets, and I'll let you pick whoever that is. So whichever position you want, a late season target.
I'm going to go to the tight end position, and I want to talk a minute about Austin Hooper. And I think I was trying to find our rankings when we did our 2021 NFL offensive ranks. And I feel like, again, I was higher on the Cleveland offense than you were this year and last year. But I feel like Baker and Hooper are going to take that next step forward this year because there are, on paper, right, Odell, Landry, and either DPJ or Rashad Higgins. On paper, yeah, it looks pretty good. Sounds pretty good. Then you mix in Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Austin Hooper. On paper, it's great. But you start digging deeper into that wide receiver core. Odell Beckham Jr. is coming back from an injury, and he really hasn't looked like himself since he came to Cleveland. Jarvis Landry has been serviceable.
No, get
better
out
than
here.
Serviceable.
Jarvis Landry has been better than serviceable.
Okay, but Landry's the wide receiver one there. Beckham's been doo-doo and hurt. Now you have Rashad Higgins and Donovan Peoples-Jones who could take that next step forward. I mean, I think people forget that Austin Hooper was pretty damn good in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I like Austin Hooper this year to be a guy that maybe he doesn't put it all together right away. But again, we're talking late season targets. So this is a guy that, if you get him at the right time, that now you're looking at a guy that can give you, because the tight end landscape is so weak, right? It doesn't take much to be a weekly tight end one. So you're looking at a guy who can probably give you top 12, top 10 tight end numbers on an offense that I think is going to be pretty good. So for me, I'm putting Austin Hooper on a bunch of my watch list. And okay, let's see what the target share looks like in Cleveland after 3-4 weeks. And if Hooper's maybe he's not putting up the yards, the targets, the yards, the touchdowns. But if he's out on the field a lot, I'm sending a message to the Austin Hooper owner and say, hey, let's talk. Let's get something done. So I'm liking Austin Hooper this year.
And what's great is Austin Hooper was actually a guy that I was like going back and forth on one more shout out, hashtime lunchtime live draft every Tuesday.
I'll join one of those eventually.
Eventually, sure, Pat, sure, yeah.
This guy.
So he was one of those guys. I drafted Baker Mayfield as my second quarterback, and it just seemed like such an easy, low-key stack.
Yeah.
Especially because like I drafted Kittle early, so I waited super long to get any depth at tight end, and he was just kind of sitting there as like this guy that I was like, man, like you said, he was good in Atlanta. Could he be good again in Cleveland with what looks like a receiving core that maybe Odell comes back as Odell, maybe. Possibly, sure.
Small chance.
Landry probably going to be 1,000-yard receiver again, but is going to do it like at a very slow and steady clip. Jarvis Landry is the steady Eddie of the entire wide receiver position, right? So, yeah, there's an opportunity for Hooper to be a worthwhile pickup at that tight end position. So I really like that pick. I ended up not going with him in the Underdog draft, but
there's going to be plenty of Austin Hooper exposure for me in best ball. I feel like I got to knock out a bunch more of those because they're fun. I've done a lot more best ball this year than I've done in years past. A lot of it is thanks to Underdog.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And the promo code's flashing across the bottom of your screen. So if you haven't checked it out yet, check out at Underdog Fantasy or underdogfantasy.com and use the promo code FAQS. That's FAQS. Get a free $25.
All right, let's do, for your last one of the show, let's do, boy, I'm torn between, we teased this earlier. Let's do your wide receiver super sleeper.
Ooh, I love it. All right, so my wide receiver super sleeper is on the Colts.
That's the whole reason I wanted to do this.
It makes
we're
sense.
We're bringing the show full circle here.
Yep. And so the reason why he's a super sleeper is because he has a whole lot of potential. Now, can he live up to it? Maybe. There's a lot of things that will have to go right in order for him to be worth staying on your roster, right? And so my Colts receiver that I'm kind of like, hey guys, check out my Colts receivers. Don't tell anybody. Don't let anybody know. But this is my guy right here. Is Paris Campbell. He's a wide receiver that when he came into the league, a lot of people expected him to do big things for them. Like he had a lot of the speed, the twitch, the just the ability to make something out of nothing, right? And where did he get drafted? Say that again. You cut out.
59th overall.
Yeah.
Second round draft capital. 59th overall in 2019.
Yeah. He has the draft pedigree. He has like the raw talent. The question is, does he bounce back from his injury? And so he got injured, was it week 2, I think it was last year? And so if he was able to, if he's able to come back, he got injured in week 2. So week 1, let's see, where is it here? So he played 2019. He played in 7 games. He did all right. Nothing spectacular, nothing outrageous.
2019 was a shit year for the Colts because they lost Andrew Luck a week before the season started.
Exactly.
And last year they hit Old Man Rivers, who couldn't push the ball down the field.
Right, and he only played a game and a half, really. Yeah. And in that one game, if I remember correctly, in the second game, it was like his first touch of the ball. He got hit just in the wrong way that ended up like destroying his knee. And so for me as a super sleeper, I'm going with Paris Campbell because he has the draft pedigree, he has the team, he has the ambiguity in the wide receiver core where is it Michael Pittman? Maybe. Is it T.Y. Hilton? Is he fighting off Father Time enough to be the guy? Maybe. Is it Mo Alley Cox's tight end? Like Jack Doyle is tight end? There's opportunities for a guy who, like you said, was his second round draft pick coming out of Ohio State.
Really fucking good at Ohio State too.
Yeah, and like I said, in week 1 of last year, he had 9 targets. He went 9 of 6. 9 of 6 for 71 yards. That's pretty good. And a rushing attempt for 9 yards. In week 2, they gave him that's what it was. It was a rushing attempt for 7 yards, and then he blew out his knee. So he's had the entire year to recover. And so, again, talking to a lot of the guys that, and my wife, who's a physical therapist, and a lot of other people that are physical therapists that I'm close with, like, they've basically said for a lot of these injuries, it'll take like a year for them to get back to where they were. He's had that. That's why those late season ACL injuries are like, man, that could linger into the beginning of next year.
But
when it happens all the way in the beginning of the year, depending on the timeline, depending on how they're handling rehab, they're able to come back, and they're able to come back successful, right? They might not come back exactly at 100%.
This is probably a very loose comparison, but I'm thinking back to DJ Chark. Because didn't Chark blow out his knee in a preseason game? And then he came back, and it wasn't last year. It would have been 2018. I think he blew out his knee. In 2019, he came back and had a monster year.
No,
I don't know.
That was Allen Robinson.
No, I know Allen Robinson did that too. I thought Chark.
Another wide receiver for the Jags.
Jacksonville.
Hairline fracture and finger. That's what he has going on right now.
Yeah, he had surgery last week, I believe. Injury history. Here we go.
Did you find it? Because I don't know.
We're going to have to wrap up the show.
I didn't find anything there. We might have to tweet this one out.
Come on.
Yeah, and Andrew breaking up. No, we're cutting it, Pat. You're done. We're cutting it. Do the outro.
Oh, do the outro. Damn.
But I really want to see it.
I'll find it later. Maybe it wasn't Chark. Maybe it wasn't. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. Anyway. So we'll tweet out the rest of the rest of these superlatives, who we picked, and if you want to know why we picked, just ask. Happy to provide some background information there. But that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for listening. We look forward to some interactions between now and the next show, and we are from NFL football. Less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
September 8th, correct?
9th.
Don't look at me like I'm crazy.
I think you are crazy. Because I want to say the 9th is Thursday. Yeah, you crazy.
It is. I just checked, yeah.
So we are 2 weeks and 10 days.
Little over 2 weeks.
2 days.
Yeah.
2 weeks and 2 days.
We're close. We're close enough.
Yeah.
We're close enough.
Stop teasing
all right.
That.
I just want football back. That's
I
all.
know. Yeah.
And with that, I will say good night, everyone. See you next week.
Catch you on the flip side.
Outro.
I did it this week. I actually remembered.